New barricades have gone up around the federal courthouse in downtown Portland today after night 55 of protests against police brutality and systemic racism following the death of George Floyd. A group of protesters attempted to break into the federal courthouse overnight. Federal troops used tear gas, and protesters say they also shot rubber bullets at them. Fox 12's Marilyn Deutsch reports this noon hour from downtown Portland.
This is the new barricade that has gone up here right in front of the federal courthouse and in front of some concrete barriers. Now, this barricade is about 8 feet tall, and if you look down below, you can see these panels are welded together. Overnight, more protesters in the streets than there were about a week ago. A group clashed with federal officers and tried to break into the federal courthouse. Fireworks were thrown at officers. Federal officers fired tear gas into the crowd of both agitators and peaceful protesters. Protesters say the officers also fired rubber bullets. John Folstad Martin shows us some of his wounds.
They weren't real bullets, but they hurt.
The U.S. Marshal says the federal property they protect extends from the courthouse to the sidewalk to the middle of the street. John says he was not on federal property. He was on the curb on the opposite side of the street.
I was trying to get some ribs for a second and just see a couple people I knew.
John was down here with his dog, Benita. He says he was leaving when he was hit by those less lethal munitions.
And not even part of the ruckus. And yeah, I started running. I started feeling some pellets hit me, and I had my dog. I ducked behind the garbage can, stood up and said, "I have a dog, why are you shooting at me?" And I heard rubber bullets ricochet off that garbage can.
John says the tear gas and other munitions caused a fire in that trash can. Afterwards, John says he did walk up to the federal officers.
After they shot me and my dog, yeah, I put my dog in the car and I walked straight over there, stood at the corner with my hands up and said, "Hey, I want to speak to a supervisor. You shot my dog."
John thinks the feds may have actually targeted him.
I'm a black man with a pit bull. It sounds silly. It sounds silly to me to say it. That's exactly what it was. Even when the people are watching, you would think they'd have a good public relations person to say, "Hey, let's just avoid the very few black people that are in Portland."
John says he came down to the protest for the first time last night, mainly to see what was happening. He tells us he has been arrested before and been the victim of police brutality before, too.
I wasn't a protester. I'm gonna make sure that I stick this out. I'm not giving up, so they just made more people infuriated and more people going to join in.
Portland police say they made no arrests last night and did not engage with any of the protesters. In downtown Portland, Marilyn Deutsch, Fox 12 Oregon.